This creature, the Wanderer, is getting closer to the island, and it looks like we'll be here during Chapter 5 Season 3 live event. A bunch of secret teasers suggest that the Lost Reality might be involved in this attack. Now, we have seen the Lost Reality try to attack the island with different creatures over and over again. Now, every time they have failed, but are they going to succeed this time? Fortnite had plans to bring back the Lost Reality in Chapter 4, because if you look at this live event that was supposed to happen, you can see after the island was completely destroyed by Herald, we were supposed to see this Lost Reality mothership abduct the 0 point, and the 0 point, being very powerful, destroys the mothership and somehow manages to escape. But the Lost Reality is unwilling to give up the 0 point, chases after it. That is how that event was supposed to end. This tells us that Fortnite has been trying to bring the Lost Reality to the island and continue that storyline that has been going on ever since Chapter 1. Also, remember in Chapter 4, when we landed on the island, we noticed part of the reality tree was still on the island. And if you look at the tree, it is quite obvious that it's Herald. Now, if you watched the Chapter 3 live event, you would remember that Herald connected her body to the reality tree. And that is how she managed to turn everything on the island into chrome, because the tree's roots was connecting every single part of that island. Part of that tree is what we saw on the Chapter 4 map, but something about part of that Herald tree on the Chapter 4 map shocked everyone. Even though it looked like Herald was still inside of the tree, you could see a giant hole behind, meaning that she somehow managed to escape. But this was just the beginning, because people don't know that the whole of Chapter 4 was a huge build-up for the return of the Lost Reality, because during that chapter we saw a bunch of Lost Reality members arrive on the island without us knowing. For example, when the Peace Syndicate arrived on the island, they revealed to us that they're gathering information on the Lost Reality. The reason for that is because the Peace Syndicate's one of their job is to bring peace to Fortnite, and obviously the Lost Reality brings nothing but destruction. They tell us that someone has been sabotaging, hacking their system, destroying all of the information that they had on the Lost Reality. Thunder from Peace Syndicate also tells us that this person who's sabotaging their system is part of their members. Later we find out that it is Highwire who was doing this, and she wasn't working alone. She was working with this creature called the Triarch Nox. He was ordering Highwire to sabotage their plans, destroy all of the intels on the Lost Reality, and also to create more tension between Peace Syndicate and the Fox Clan. Because one thing he wants is to have a chaos on the island. Because when there is a war on the island, everyone is distracted, and Triarch Nox can complete his mission without any problems. That's exactly what he does. He brings a Serenade to this island, and she brings a bunch of monoliths. Their plan was to use these monoliths to summon the Lost Reality back to the island. Unfortunately, their plan was ruined because a giant earthquake took place. But that did not stop the Lost Reality, because even during Season 3 of Chapter 4, Dr. Sloan tells us that the circular object was heading right towards the island. There is going to be an eclipse, and this eclipse is not natural. Then the season after, we saw Kato Thorn arrive on the island, but we never understood what the circular object was. This object must have been as big as the moon for it to cover it completely. Everyone thinks that this circular object was in fact. Before I reveal that mysterious object, I'm giving away a free skin to into a lucky subscriber, all you have to do is subscribe. And if you want to help me out, use code SMJM and like this video. This ship that we saw during the live event when the Lost Reality was defeated, this means that Kato Thorn might actually be working for the Lost Reality as well. And together they wanted to bring them to this island. Again, we know what happened. Agent Jones and Dr. Sloan stole the time machine, defeated Kato Thorn, and went back to OG Fortnite. Now we're here in chapter 5, meaning the Lost Reality has not given up yet. They will still attack. And our first teaser is this house right here. If you remember in chapter 5 season 1, there was a bunch of Midas and his friends related object on this island. Then in season 2, we did see Midas return. Similarly, if you go inside of this house, you can see a bunch of portraits that relate to the Lost Reality. For example, you can see right here the Kevin the Cube Island created by the Cube, which is obviously the Lost Reality technology. This is obviously Herald, and we know she escaped in chapter 4. Most likely she is going to be here very soon. It looks like before they arrive, they want to create chaos on this island, and they are sending this creature called the Wanderer. Oracle, who has been telling us the future of Fortnite, has been telling us so far that Zeus wants to destroy all of the mortals. He is going to attack. The sky is going to turn dark, and we are going to have some kind of sandstorm as well. Here is our first look at the live event, what it's going to look like. You can see the entire sky turning dark. This is caused by that huge sandstorm that is approaching. We'll also see this statue move, and a bunch of lightning and thunders will be here as well. You'll think that Zeus is going to be the one that's going to create all of this chaos. And then Oracle reveals something that shocked everyone. She tells us that Zeus will be defeated, and then this is going to happen. Meaning this wasn't created by Zeus. Most likely this was created by the Lost Reality, because she says that there is a creature called the Wanderer, and he is getting closer. Now we think that this Wanderer is that creature sent by the Lost Reality to create chaos before they attack yet again. Because if you remember, last time they attacked was in chapter 2. If you don't know, this chapter is in fact chapter 2 from a parallel universe. How we know this is because when Agent Jones and Dr. Sloan made a plan to go back to chapter 1 using Kato Thorn's time machine, their plan was to restart Fortnite and do all over again until they realized that chapter 1 was not the actual chapter 1, but in fact a map from a alternate universe. That's why despite looking similar, the map was slightly different. Like for example, the Big Bertha was not in Tilted Towers. We did not have Volcano on this island. Polar Peak was missing as well. And obviously in the actual chapter 1, after the Big Bang Black Hole event, we went to chapter 2. But again, since this is a parallel universe, we went to a different version of chapter 2. That's why in chapter 5 season 1, it was two different factions fighting for the island Society Underground, similar to chapter 2 season 1, Alter versus Ego. And obviously chapter 5 season 2 was a return of Midas, and chapter 2 season 2 was the introduction of Midas. So everything that happened in chapter 2 is happening yet again. And we know the big thing about chapter 2, it was the Lost Reality. And it looks like we are going to see them yet again, but obviously the storyline is going to be slightly different. Now, going back to that live event, there's going to be a huge sandstorm, and that sandstorm is going to cover about 70% of the island next season. Because if you remember in chapter 2 season 3, the island was almost covered by the ocean, and gradually throughout the season the water level level starts decreasing and we start to see the island back to normal. Similarly, the sand is going to cover, like I said, 70% of the island, and throughout the season we will see the sand level decrease and it will reveal different locations, maybe even new locations. And obviously we must not forget the evil creature Wanderer will be here, most likely in Chapter 5 Season 3 live event. I'll keep you guys updated, so please leave a like, subscribe, and use code SMJM.